There is something that we have to have the ability, with a great sense of responsibility, purpose and gravitas, that sometimes what we wish were to happen because it would be convenient for us to happen simply is a ghost. It's not the truth. And it takes a maturity and an ability, perhaps with a mindset of truth and reconciliation, the concept of satyagraha, that if you stay on the side of truth, you will be able to make your point more vociferously. Perhaps you'll have to work harder. Somebody very senior asked me this a few days ago, that you sit on NewsX and you abjure tamasha. There's no screaming and shouting and name calling. So how do you get ratings, which is what we are supposed to be, right? Rating hungry people. And my answer is, I have to work twice as hard. My team has to work twice as hard. We have to make an effort to be more on point, more engaging, to provide greater perspective. Because yes, if I start screaming and shouting on the roadside, a crowd will gather to wonder why I'm screaming and shouting. But I do it every time, cry wolf, eventually the crowd will just call me a maniac. I'll become a meme, a joke. So yes, sometimes you have to work twice as hard. There is a duty that oppositions perform in a democracy. And the duty is that no matter what the government is doing, to run a fine-tooth comb and take out all sorts of issues to keep government on its toes. And I respect the need, and it's the need, for the Congress party of current day, modern day, the Rahul Gandhi day of Congress, looking back at what happened, how his father was maligned with Bofors, how the previous government of Manmohan Singh was maligned by 2G and Coalgate and corruption, to find a cause that is very similar. So you're sitting in a room and you're sitting with the advisors and looking at what are the causes for the election campaign next time around. Last time we took up Rafale, poof, Rafale disappeared, all the 36 planes have arrived and they're currently performing an important duty on the frontier with China. So now let's come in something new. But in that process, we somehow get disconnected from reality. It's been 4 months since a foreign quote unquote think tank with profit motive came out and did a hit job on one of India's biggest conglomerates. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important for us to think of the Antyodaya of socialism, for which you need to do the mudra loans, the toilet building, the road building. But we also need large conglomerates. Why would we go gaga over Microsoft and Elon Musk and Tesla and SpaceX, but give gali to our own people? So all these guys, the billionaires in the US, are all honest, hardworking geniuses like Bill Gates. But our guys are all chores. We have a great sense of racism against ourselves, which needs to be chronically abjured in the future. It's been 4 months. The head of the State Bank of India has said that for 4 months, the Adani group of companies have been paying back their loans just fine. In those 4 months, $209 billion bank collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank, $59 billion collapse of the Credit Suisse in Europe. In between, right before that, there was this Sam Bankman-Fried and his crypto empire, again a multi-billion-dollar collapse that took place. Where were the Hindenburg reports on this? Nowhere. So Hindenburg and George Soros, who thought he could destroy the British economy by causing a run on the pound, George Soros, who contributes $140 million to the Democratic Party in just the midterm elections, he feels that he can teach us a democratic lesson and we are supposed to say, yes, sir. Well, we don't. And for the Congress party now to be seemingly coming across as they listen to Hindenburg, they listen to Soros, were still the impression given that they connive with these individuals and then sit in Cambridge and lecture us is a disconnect which is very damaging. Now, we spoke to Ghulam Nabi Azad and he made a very simple point to me. He said that when Mahatma Gandhi came to Delhi, whose house did he stay in? In Birla's house, no. So, was Mahatma Gandhi corrupt? Not necessarily. Sharad Pawar has said that this JPC demand is just political posturing. What was achieved in the 2G JPC? And that's for the BJP also to consciously say, what was achieved? Nothing. Where is the 2G case now? Nowhere. So, for gosh sake, what is going on in this country? Let's open up this conversation. Joining us on the broadcast, I have Sharat Kohli. Appreciate your time, sir. Let me also get in Jayjeet Bhattacharya. Ankit Jain also joining us very shortly. Dr. Kohli, it's been 4 months, sir, since this, or almost 4 months since this Hindenburg report. While the companies under the Adani group are doing fine, they're paying their loans, they have in fact prepaid some of their loans, they have repaid whatever fund revenue that they were doing for this FPO. But there has been a loss in shareholder value. There are millions of ordinary people who had bought shares in Adani, and $100 billion of that shareholder value is gone. Real damage has happened. And in between, there has been an actual bank collapse in San Francisco. There has been an actual crypto scandal, a stinging thing of one of the oldest banks in Europe, Credit Suisse, which has gone under. But we are still doing Adani bashing. What is disconnected, sir? Are we living in an alternative reality? What's gone wrong?
Well, Rishabh, stock markets are a very vulnerable platform. I mean, I must tell you, and it's very easy to swing stock markets. And what surprised me here was that, stocks coming down in stock markets being raised by the opposition. I don't come from the political fraternity, but I'm just giving it an overview. And when they found that talking too much of stock markets, talking too much of LIC, SBI giving loans, LIC, investing in Adani Group, when they found that the general public is not going to be misled and they are not going to understand, I think the recent harping that we are hearing is, and I'm literally bored of that sentence, where is this 20,000 crore coming from? I mean, where is this 20,000? This belongs to so-and-so, this belongs to so-and-so. I mean, at least come out with a narrative which is easy to comprehend, which is easy to believe. For a moment, Rishabh, let me even take a situation. Then let's say, a lot of businesses, they may be resorting to, this is called round tripping. You send money from here, it goes to Mauritius, it comes right from you. It's called round tripping under taxation laws or under the transfer pricing laws or under the money laundering laws, whatever. Now, linking round tripping to the ruling government without any basis, evidence, I think it sounds absurd. And then on top of that, when a Supreme Court committee is formed, which consists of people with very, very credible background, technically competent. A JPC is what? A JPC is a group of parliamentarians who would have anyway taken help of technical experts. They could not have done anything on their own because they don't understand the technicalities. Here is a group of people who understand, like Mr. Kamath, they understand banking, they understand money movements, they understand stock markets. So when people like these are in the committee, I fail to understand. And the time span was 2 months, if I'm not wrong. So what I fail to understand is that this whole campaign, this whole narrative could have been postponed for at least 2 months. God's sake, wait for the findings of the Supreme Court committee. Then you form an opinion. Now, the logic given is that the committee is beyond, the nexus between the government and...
but Dr. Kohli, come on, none of us are naive, okay? Is crony capitalism, does it happen? It happens all over the world. I mean, you just look at the arm twisting the Amazons of the world do in deciding in which city, in which state in the US they'll put their headquarters and what all tax reliefs they want. They want to pay no taxes. The biggest companies in the US are all held offshore. They don't pay a penny on billions of pounds of profit. So all the offshore territories are run by the Brits. and then they say that we have no control over them. They're all semi-autonomous. I mean, look at Hong Kong, Singapore. I mean, these guys, the City of London provides bankers an opportunity that as long as the transactions are of offshore entities, they come under zero scrutiny. Nothing, no scrutiny, no regulation is required as long as it's an offshore transaction. So God knows what is going on. But the bottom line in this is, let me get Dr. Jayajit Bhattacharya in. Jayajit ji, now I understand you, I'm sure you understand also that there is a political need for making a case, and let's put that aside for a second. But in the course of that political need, had we subsumed to it the last time around, we would not have had the Rafale aircraft right now. Okay? Let me even go to say that it was the Bofors gun, the Swedish gun, that saved lives of our soldiers during Kargil, because if we didn't have that artillery piece that could be carried to those inclinations, we would have been in a whole lot of trouble. So thank God we have the Rafale aircraft, because all of them have now been delivered. And while we have to provide the Mudra loans and the toilets and all that at the grassroots Antyodaya level, we also need big companies to be able to operate in this country. And why should we feel that only Elon Musk is honest and all of our people are chores?
Yeah. So, Rishabh, I think you're stealing my words in that sense. This is exactly the words I've been using for over a decade, that their business people are tycoons and our business people are crooks. That's a mindset that we have been operating with. That's clearly not acceptable. I'm not an expert in politics, so I'll stay out of politics. But the dharma of an opposition leader obviously is to find issues to take up bone with the government, as long as that does not compromise on India's security or on India's industry and its economics, and therefore the prosperity of the people. Those are not fair targets in my limited view. Coming to the issue of the whole ruckus around the Hindenburg report and Adani, it is up to the Adani group to defend themselves. If they're strong enough, if they have the basis, they will defend it. There's no need for the government to step in unless there are many, many jobs in the line which might be hit. We haven't seen any jobs being in the line, and therefore we haven't seen the government stepping in either. There should be least interference of the government in the running of industries, and that's what the government has been trying to do, to move out of business and only provide the conducive environment for larger and larger capital to flow into India, and larger and larger capitalists to provide the mother platform on which...
So Jayajit, I have to ask you this, because our focus for the past several weeks and months has once again been, both internally and externally, and maybe George Soros should not have tweeted out, because I think he gave the game away. Maybe he shouldn't have put that tweet out. Maybe he should have kept shut, but he couldn't resist himself, or he felt that he's such an influencer that if he says it, then the rest of us will, of course, bend over 3 times backwards. But we lost focus that in the interim period, while Hindenburg was doing a great investigation into Adani's, which they were convinced on the base of their hypotheses, nothing happened here. Everything's running just fine. There has been a stock market valuation loss, which is a very real economic loss. But the companies are running fine. The SBI chairman says that their own payments are fine. Some in fact, prepayments of borrowing against the shares have already been made. It's the bank in Silicon Valley under their noses is the one that collapsed. It's Credit Suisse that collapsed. It's Sam Bankman-Fried and his crypto scandal that has staggered them. Why did the Hindenburg guys not see these coming?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There were other short sellers who did predict in Jan that the Silicon Valley Bank is collapsing, but there was no Hindenburg involved. In fact, the string of events that you see, without sounding parochial, have been, the Jewish community involved, because even the journalist who first broke the Hindenburg report was of the same community. Again, as I said, with the underlining that not wanting to be parochial. There is the question that you raised begs to be answered. Let me also put another question, Rishabh, because you pointed out about about the scandals around military imports. The scandals somehow have the tendency to come up only when the procurement does not happen from Russia, America, or Israel. Whereas 95% of our procurement, if not larger, happens from these three countries. The moment you move your aircraft platform away from Russia, and you procure anything from Sweden or France or Italy, you name it, you will have a scandal coming in.
Okay.
And
okay. So I can understand, and let's not even try to go in some sort of community conversation into this at all. But we have to accept that there are some forces out there, okay, who have decided that they will going to do a hit job on India, okay. They feel that they are fully capable of manipulating India's markets. They feel that they are fully capable of manipulating India's politics. And I would like to believe that this is not true, that the politicians here in India don't actually feel that Cambridge is a better spot because there the people agree with you. Because you're telling them what they want to hear, but in your own country the people are disagreeing with you because there's something fundamentally wrong and broken. Let me get Ankit into this conversation. Ankit, in a very real sense, the JPC on 2G achieved absolutely nothing. We are having no conversation, and that's equally for the BJP to answer. So should we accept that the demand for a JPC on the issue of the Hindenburg report is just for the sake of political posturing? The economic or policy or legislative benefit on it would be absolutely zero.
I agree and disagree on this. JPC started for 2G because there was a CAG told about it that there is a scam related to it, and everything was done without an auctioning process, which was just given first come first services, which is against the natural principle of giving national resources to private parties. And that is how the JPC and the 2G scams happened. The government could not recover any money because the scam definitely happened, and it has never happened any scam. The money has been recovered. It has never happened in the history. The second, in this case, there's a third party which is saying something and issued a report. Do we have any conclusive evidence which they've submitted to Government of India or any regulatory compliance companies like SEBI, RBI or ED or something that Adani has done something wrong? You will start something when there is a preliminary investigation which needs to be done. And preliminary investigation doesn't have to happen that I say to you, you are a criminal, that we start the investigation. It has to be something has happened somewhere. Hindenburg said in the entire stock market of Adani crashed, that does not lead to any conclusion that Adani has done something wrong and the JPC has to start it. JPC is just a political phenomena to do it. And
okay, so Ankit, so let me ask you then, has the day of the assumption gone, okay, that we in this country can look at big corporate guys, okay, and call them chores? We assume that they are criminals, but we aspire to be Google, Microsoft, trillion-dollar companies in the US are a great aspiration and a motivation. Wow, look at these guys, are so amazing. But somebody makes it here, whether it's $100 billion, $200 billion, 100% he's a chore. How does this mindset still prevail in this country?
That mindset will take years to go and it is not a mindset of a common people, trust me. A mindset of a common people is everybody wants to become Adani or Ambani in their life. It is what happens on the news channels or on the political houses where people think that everybody is corrupt. I don't see Tatas are corrupt. They carry the best things ever. I don't see Birla is corrupt. They've created some large companies in India. They've created the best of employment. And everybody wants to become Adani and Ambani in their life or do some great startups or become a Google. Do we have resources, capability, intentions, hard work? That's a different thing.
Okay, so do we then, Dr. Kohli, because we are so used to it, it has become something which we sit upon comfortably upon a pillow, that corruption is there. You just say corruption and it will appear because it forever exists. Are we finding it then difficult as a country to say maybe corruption is going down. Maybe actually that the ministers are not taking in the money in the amounts that they have in the past. Maybe indeed that crony capitalism is not the woke opportunism of the hour. Maybe something different is going on. Is that a digesting factor that we now have to at least try to sort of envisage?
Well, Rishabh, if you think of the electorate and this whole narrative of this 20,000 crores, which is just going on and on, I think the political parties, some of them feel that they can probably stir up the emotions, because when you asked about whether people who are rich, people who are big, people who are conglomerates, are they criminals just because they are big? Because a common man from this country, because of the inequality of income and inequality of wealth and sharp inequalities. So anyone who's got surplus wealth or surplus income or is reasonably big, it is very easy to form a kind of an imagination that this person must have taken a wrong route to reach that point. So that is the emotion which the opposition is trying to stir. But what they're forgetting two things. One is that this narrative against this government or the Prime Minister is not going to work, because Prime Minister has already earned a reputation which is beyond question. That's my first point. Second point, the people who are raising this question, now I come from an apolitical world. The people who are raising the question, the old saying, people who live in glass houses should not throw stones at others. Their own reputation in the past, for all the scams that you named, 2G, Colgate, Commonwealth and so and so, for all the past, the history is going to haunt them forever. So I think they are unfit, in my mind, to raise this question.
Okay, so how do you just as an observer, sir, of course not a direct participant in this, and I just want to end it on that thought. How do you then perceive that a Sharad Pawar is now, who's a very, very intelligent politician, he is seeing the pulse elsewhere. He is seeing that there is nothing to be achieved here because nobody is buying it, it's not sinking in. Rafael didn't achieve anything. You said, you kept saying Chaukidar chor hai, and nothing happened. That this is a pointless and a waste of time exercise. You can oppose, and I'm sure there are other reasons you can corner and question the BJP, but this is not it. Why is Sharad Pawar seeing it, but others in the Congress are not being able to see this?
Because I'm not a Sharad Pawar fan, Rishabh, but he's a veteran politician. He knows this is simply not going to work. What the opposition needs to do is to get into constructive opposition. They are resorting to destructive opposition, which is not going to work. And I don't come from a world of politics. I haven't done any political science courses. But as a common citizen and as somebody being educated and regularly speaking to the media, I can understand it is not going to work. But what I fail to understand, Rishabh, is that the people who are on the track just do not understand this strategy simply won't help you in getting the votes. So for God's sake, find a strategy which helps you in getting the votes, and that's what Sharad Pawar knows. I think he's a veteran. He spent all his life.
We have wasted so much time. Like I said, 3 months. The Sensex is exactly where it was. George Soros let the cat out of the bag when he put out his tweet. Strategic mistake from him, because at least then we knew what his intentions were. It smacks of a reality check that the focus needs to be on Hindenburg, on Soros, and what they were up to. The Congress party, which plays and will play a very important political role in this country, should at the very least ensure that for normal Indians, not even a smidgen of perception is given that they are basing their biggest political plank for a national election on the basis of a foreigner's report or on the basis of what George Soros would like to see happen. That would be the most obscene thing, even if that impression is given, however false it may or may not be. We have wasted too much time in Parliament, and we have caused real economic damage to the shareholders who have lost shareholder value. The company of the Adani Group are running fine. The banks who have lent to them are receiving their funds fine. But yet in the political realm, this is going on and on and on, and the wiser politicians are moving away from it. One would wonder what the Congress is waiting on, that they are insisting to the point of Rahul Gandhi coming out and saying that his parliament seat disqualification, which happened over a different kind of issue, would not stop him from speaking about this. That their parties are running organizations or people allied to them, which are hunting, Adani watch, hunting to find problems. That impression is perhaps not the best impression, let alone what reality might be.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.